right, let's see. We got JJ's here. Janet's in the house. Kathy, Dale from Ohio. Sonia's in the house. Welcome everybody. Glad you guys are here. Wishika's in the house. Beef and chicken. Jenny's here. Oh, say can you see? I like that name. That's funny. Pam in Wonderland. Smoking Swamp Outdoors. Welcome, welcome. I hope everybody has had a great weekend. But yeah, well, I'll tell you what. It's today was much nicer than yesterday. Oh my God. So crazy. Absolutely crazy. Hey, there's Emil's in the house. Welcome, welcome. Yvonne is here. DJ's in the house. So, uh, anyway, I hope everybody, like I said, hope you guys had a good weekend. It was so nice having everybody here this weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that and then we'll go into the rest of the chat after that in just a little bit. But before we jump into anything, I would just like to remind everybody that this is a family friendly oriented channel most of the time. I can't say all the time because there have been moments, but most of the time we're family friendly. Please be decent in the chat, no racism, no nastiness. If you cannot abide by those very simple, easy rules, those awesome people lit up in blue with the blue wrenches are going to boot you out of here because we're not going to tolerate it. Simple as that. All right. So just putting it out there. Also, if you have a comment that you want to have stand out for me, all cap locks, please. Really does make a big, big difference. And so, uh, yeah, with everybody coming down, you know, getting together, talking, making plans, what we're going to be working on moving forward. There's some stuff that I can do ahead of time before everybody gets here next month, which I'm going to be doing. Actually, I'll be working on some stuff tomorrow, and you know we'll go from there. But you know, just slow and steady, slow and steady. But you know, with everybody coming and sitting down and having a good discussion, and it's just prioritizing projects. I guess is the not necessarily prioritizing projects because we would work on something big if we were prioritizing, but you know, there's certain things that we want to get accomplished, and so we kind of came up with a game plan. You know, adding more, you know, getting the blueberry bushes in here, that was cool, and you know, that type of thing. So, like I said, it's just it's all a work in progress. So we'll see how it all goes, and like I said, I'm pretty excited with everything, and a lot of work to do. Always a lot of work to do, but you know, it'll come together. So all right. So anyway, I'm excited. I'm excited. I got some stuff. Like I said, I'm going to be heading out tomorrow. Got a few things that I got to do that I need, and I'll share as I do it. And I'll show it. I'll show you what we're doing and how we're doing it and all that good stuff. So all right. So anyway, um, yeah. So that's where we're at. So and I kind of my title is the economy getting better. It's kind of like a you know, kind of a joke because you have people going, well, you know, he's been in office for 6 weeks now. Things are not getting better. It doesn't work like that. Isn't it magically now that we have a new president that it's magically all fantastic and better? You know, um, it's going to take time. Putting policies in place, getting stuff cleaned up, reducing overhead, you know, and that's what they've been doing, obviously. There is a lot to do, a lot to take care of, you know, getting rid of the people that are, well, it's hard. It depends on whose side you're on, and that sounds stupid too. Um, by the end of this year, we will notice. Well, it's going to be the problem that I think people don't understand is, you know, he's putting things in place to try to make things better for everybody, and it's going to take a while. Yeah, it took 2 years under Reagan to start turning things around, right? And I'll be honest with you, it's going to be more painful in the beginning than it is going to be in the long run. Things take time. I mean, they had 4 years to really screw everything up, and boy, they did a great job. By the way, I think they did an absolutely wonderful job. So, yeah, I saw protesters were chasing the VP with his 3-year-old daughter. It's just, it's a, you got to understand, it's all a big game. All of it is a big game, and when you have, look how easy. Oh, so I don't know if you guys just saw this, that the Secret Service killed a guy outside the White House that was pretty heavily armed, from what they're saying. You're not really seeing it in the mainstream news media because they're not making a big deal out of it. But if you got somebody that's armed, and that the Secret Service, they're not just going to kill somebody for the sake of killing somebody. So there must have been something going on, but you know, it's when you have radical left or radical right, you're going to have extremists. I mean, hardcore extremists on both sides. And they're saying he was suicidal. Oh, okay, DJ. Well, that's look what they did with the other stuff. They always try to whitewash everything. But Okie Ford said Reagan was at least honest with the American people, saying that they would all have to tighten their belts for a while. I don't think that Trump got in there and said from day one things are going to get better. I don't believe he said that. Like I said, you got to get rid of the people that you need to get rid of. You replace them, and then you start trying to work on getting things more squared away. That one lady that they got rid of, the one that had all the chickens cold and all that type of stuff. And just so people know too, and I was going to talk about this. Um, like we just got chickens. The chickens that we just got, those chickens haven't been given any mRNA shots or anything like that. I know that I've heard, don't know if it's true or not. So let me just say that ahead of time. I've heard that they're talking about that being something that is going to be happening with the chickens. Are they going to do that? I have no idea. Okay, but the batch that came out that's out right now hasn't had any of that yet. Because of their for the whole bird flu stuff that they're saying is out there, and I don't know if it is or if I don't know if it isn't. You know what I mean? I mean, when you're culling healthy chickens because you're being told to by the government, what's the ultimate thing with that? You know what I mean? And if they didn't do it, these farmers didn't do it, they were going to get hit with huge fines and stuff like this. Are tied. So I know, like when I was talking to like Mark, when Mark was here over the weekend, he was saying that in his area where he lives, there's a lot of people that have eggs. So the egg prices in his area are not that bad. I mean, they're bad enough, but they're not that bad because there's so many other eggs available from other people. So, and again, it's always going to be location, location, location. But there's like, some places, even like here, there's places where eggs can be really expensive. Now, out where I live, a lot of people have chickens. So, but you just, I mean, if you can hatch out your own from your own flock or an existing flock, probably a good idea to do it that way. What we may even do here, which I'm not 100% sure if we're going to do it or not yet. We had talked about having different flocks. Okay, so what we may end up doing, because I have these established chickens that haven't had shots and whatever, I may incubate some of their eggs and keep that flock different from the flock that we're getting coming in. So because we want to have more than one chicken coop down here. That's one of the goals that we want to have, because when SHTF truly happens, we can have 4 or 5 different places where we can put chickens, so that again all the eggs are not in one basket, if you will. Hey Ed, I got a hen setting on several eggs now. Oh, that's awesome, Delbert. Yeah, if you get broody chickens, that's a good thing, because they'll make more of their own. They will definitely do that. But it's just again, it's one of those things where we got there's a lot to do, and one of the things that we need to do is a new chicken coop as well. We have a couple things that we're going to be working on down here immediately. We do have to work on the pavilion more, and we're going to do that as well. So, but like I said, slow and steady. As long as we are continuing to do what we're doing, in the long run, we're going to be okay. I'm going to be making a food run coming up here. Like I said, again, probably tomorrow because there's a couple things I want to do tomorrow, and a food run is one of those things. So that's going to happen, and we're just going to kind of go with the flow and see what goes on. And but as long as we're continuing to make progress, I'll be happy. And when the time comes, we're going to do the best that we can. And that's what everybody's going to do because you're not going to have a choice. But again, as far as like with the economy, it's going to get worse before it gets better. That's kind of my sentiment with it. You can think whatever you want. I mean, some people were being told that the economy was great during these last 4 years, where the average person, if you ask them, they didn't feel like the economy was doing all that well because it was affecting them directly. When you're rich, you don't care what the cost of things are. All right. When you are living paycheck to paycheck and you're trying to prioritize, food and heat and, and all that type of stuff. I've several people I've talked to. Okay. So here's a good one, right? Um, Up in upstate New York, a company took over another company over, I believe it was an overseas company, took over NYSEG. And people's electric bills have jumped up exponentially. And when I went off grid over 10 years ago now, when I went off grid, people were like, oh, and I in these chats, I had people say, oh, well, my electric is not that bad and blah, 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 blah. And I always said to people was this, I said, listen, I said, gas and electric prices are never going to go down. They're only going to go up. I said, so I'm making an investment in the long term where over time, you know, I'm going to be in better shape because I don't have those bills. Like I was talking to somebody over this weekend, a group member, and they were saying that their gas and electric bill was like $500 when it was no for just like for the 1 month. Um, like I'll give you an example. What was the one? Hold on. Oh, Mark was saying. Okay, I was trying to remember who was saying. His parents, both of his parents, or well, his dad died and his mom ended up going into a facility because she has dementia. So they have her house, and so they're heating with oil for that house. And he says there's nobody in the house. They have it set at a low temperature, and they're like every 3 weeks they're going through it, and it's costing them a fortune to heat that. And they're in the process of getting it squared away to sell it. But again, those type of things that cost people. People got to pay that out, and it's not fun. And that affects things. When people are getting $600 and $700, $800, gas and electric bills, and these companies, and they would do it, folks. I tell you what, when I lived in New York, okay, and I was on grid, all right, it seemed like every single January we got hit every year. And when I say hit, I'm talking almost double the normal gas and electric bill. Now, granted, you got into the later into the year, it wasn't as much unless it was super, super hot and people had to, run in their electricity to get their air conditionings going and stuff like that. But it seemed like every single January we would get hammered. And, and I don't miss that. I don't miss that. Um, Delbert said, I shared the little chicks with local group here. That's cool, man. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But, it's just, like I said, again, without having that bill, it makes life a whole lot easier. And so, like I said, I'm always going to encourage people. It comes down to a couple things. When like living off grid, right? Living off grid. What does it come down to? Make it as simple as possible. Wants and needs, right? What do I want and what do I need? So in a short term situation, and I dealt with this in New York, so that was the reason why when I came down here, I went from, and I just want to explain it for anybody on here that hasn't been here before. I live in New York. My electric bill went from 223 for January to 285 or 685 for February. I'm not the only one who got screwed around within my area, though. Well, yeah, that sucks, Bobby. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's tripling your bill right there. That's having your bill triple, which is insane. That's insane. And how are you supposed to afford that, right? You know what I mean? Like you got all this extra money laying around to be able to do that. So in New York, when I went off grid initially, I had a 12-volt system. I was naive, folks. I was very naive. Grandioso dreams, and then reality hits, and you just don't have as much as you need. Right? It's not about the want at that point. It's just what you need to keep the lights on, and all those type of things. So pretty quickly, we went from a 12-volt system to a 24-volt system. Upgraded the batteries 3 different times, increased our solar array, and got to a point, over time. So here's the thing: what I think a lot of people don't remember. We didn't run 24 hours a day with our electricity back then. We would run during the day, and then at night when we went to sleep, we would shut the whole system down because we were heating with wood. So we didn't rely on power for staying warm. We had the wood stove. So at night, we would shut the whole system down. So then when we got up in the morning, then we would turn it back on again. So, it wasn't like everything was great. Now, when we expanded our battery bank, upgraded our system, and slowly we're learning what worked and what didn't work, then we were finally able to run 24 hours a day. So when I came down here, I bought what I needed ahead of time. And again, I'm going to always go to my electrician guy that I had, up in New York. Brian is awesome, very, very smart. He's the one that actually came from New York down here and helped me get my system set up down here when I first got down here. When I got down here, I had said from day one, I'm going with a 48-volt system. All right. And that's what we did. Went to a 48-volt system right from the get go. In this way, I've run 24 hours a day from day one. Now, certain times of the year, I've had to run the generator. Like I ran the generator for a couple hours this morning. I think I ran it for like 2 hours this morning. But I was also running the heat lamp for the baby chicks all day long. So it was a bigger draw on the system because of that. Now Sandy's taking those chicks back with her, and she's going to keep them at her place. And then when they feather out, she's going to be bringing, some of the chicks back here. One of the chicks didn't make it. We had one that was shaky. I saw this one. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if that chick's going to make it. It didn't make it. It didn't make it. So out of the 25 that we got, 24 are good. So she took them back with her, and so she's going to keep them, like I said. And once they, feather out, we'll go from there. But like then the sun did come out, today, and so I just let the system load up. And so by the time it just got dark here a little while ago, because now we've sprung ahead. So it's we're at a point now where I'll be good. I won't have to run the generator at all tonight because the batteries are full. Not running that extra thing on there, but you know, but again, it's a learning process. What works, what doesn't work, what do you need? And again, we're going back to wants and needs. All right, so what can I run down here in the summertime if it's really hot? Can I run the air conditioning? I can, but I don't run my air conditioner all day long. So, if I am here and it gets up to a certain temperature in the camper and I'm inside and I'm not outside, I'll run the air conditioner for a while just to cool it back down. Nighttime, I just run fans and I'm good to go, But anything else I need, I run my microwave, I run a refrigerator, a regular size refrigerator. So, everything that I need on a daily basis, I can run. Now, obviously, the microwave is not a need. That's a want, right? Air conditioning is not a need. It's a want. But as long as I can run that, when the sun, like I said, when the sun's out full blast and it's summertime, I can run the air conditioning for hours if I want to. I don't because I'm not always going to be inside. If it's nice out, I want to be outside. There's things I want to be doing. So, it all comes on like I'll turn the air conditioning on to knock it down so it's not as hot in here because I sit out in a field, right? So I don't have like the trees protecting me here. So, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. So, but anyway, you know, it's a learning curve. You figure out what works. Like so I'll give you an example. What I have into my system down here, just in batteries alone, just batteries, I got 6 grand in batteries alone. Okay. I got my big battery that I got in the battery room. That big battery was 4 grand. And then I have 2 smaller batteries, and those were $1,000 a piece. So and I don't keep both of those plugged in at all times, only keep one plugged in all times. Because what ends up happening is if the system completely turns off, let's say my system turns completely off, which has happened a couple times, I need a 48-volt battery to jumpstart the system. So if I have to like run the generator, I have to plug that in to the battery that's not in use. So I don't like not I rotate the 2 batteries that I'm not using. Like the big battery's always plugged in. The 2 smaller ones, I'll run the one, and then like maybe in a month, I'll switch it around like on a sunny day, and I'll plug in the other one and unplug the other one, so that way they're always going to be topped off. So it's just, but it's again, those are things that you learn along the way. And but when people are getting six, seven, $800 gas and electric bills, I'm not getting that. Now, do I have to run in the wintertime? Do I have to pay for some gas? Sure, I don't care. It's not going to be anywhere near what the rest of you guys are paying being on grid. So to me, it's a win-win situation. And when I look at people paying that much, right? I go, well, I'm recouping my cost for what I've put out already in a hurry because I'm not having to pay that month after month after month. So as each year goes by, is just a bonus for me. So I know that within a 10-year period of being off grid, it's paid for itself. Now this down here hasn't yet because I've only had the system down here. We're just starting a third year. April will start my third year of having this system in down here. So that's going to take a little bit longer, but so what? In the long run, it's so worth it to me. And again, the best part, right, of being off grid, nobody can threaten me and say, well, if you don't pay, we're turning you off, right? I don't have to worry about that because they can't turn me off. But JJ said, Ed, most people can't adjust from luxuries to basic way of life. You're right. You're right, JJ. It's not that they can't, they won't. It's not that they can't because everybody can if you needed to. Most people don't want to. There's the difference, JJ. There's a difference. They don't want to give up something. What I said to my kids, I'll tell you what happened um, when we moved off grid, and the twins were 13 when we moved off grid. Okay. And after that first winter, we got into the warmer weather finally came. And I asked them, because this is important too. And I want you guys to, because it's not just you who's going off grid. When you go off grid and you have your kids and maybe you got your wife or whoever else, that you're with, if you're completely by yourself, it's what you want. Okay. But when you have other people to consider, you need to take what they think is well into consideration. So, what I did with my kids after we got through that first winter, I sat them both down and I said, okay, going into this year, what is the one thing, right? What is the one thing that I can do to make your lives better here, right? What's the one thing that I can do to help you guys to make this better? And it was unanimous of more power. And so that's what I focused on. And we worked out the kinks and figured things out. And, like I said, it took time, but I've always been a type of person. I don't mind sacrificing in the short term for a long term gain, because in the long run, because of what I've gone through learning, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, now I'm pretty comfortable. I mean, as far as power goes, pretty comfortable. So I don't have to worry about that. Pam in Wonderland, we already have a well in here down here. We already have a well, so that's already in. We're just not utilizing it at this point. So, but but anyway, again, being off grid, you have the freedom. Like when the power was out down here with the ice storm that we had, and there was trees down, and people didn't have power for 5, 6 days, whatever it was. Um, I had power, right? So I didn't have to worry about that. That wasn't an issue for me because I had power, and because my internet is different. It's not like, as long as I have a power source and I can plug into that power source, I can have internet. So I got very, very fortunate with that. So, but yeah, the lead acid days. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He actually Troy bought my first set of lead acid batteries that I had. When I had the Trojan L16Es is what I think I had, and I ended up selling them to Troy, and he got those when I upgraded to to the ones that are still in New York, the ones that are still up in New York right now. My daughter's using them now, so again, it's like I said, you figure out what works. Have you thought about doing Starlink, Ed? That would be beneficial for everyone. Yeah, we've discussed that, and you know, that's one of the guys here is talking about hooking up Starlink down here, and if he has Starlink, then everybody can have Starlink. As far as on the property goes, and they're working on that, and it is now available in this area. Starlink is. When I first got down here, I looked into it, and it wasn't available at that point in time. And I think then I did get a call back from them, and it is available now. But I figured something else that works just fine for me. Now, for everybody else, obviously, that's not going to work for them. But the one guy, Dave, you guys probably remember Dave. Dave has talked about having Starlink hooked up down here, and that would that'll work too. And if he has, and he even said, if I put in the Starlink, he goes, you're more than welcome to use it. Now, from what I understand, from what I've talked to people, the people that do have Starlink, the uploads are quick. So I mean, if that could make my uploads of videos and stuff faster, I absolutely would be. That'd be great. You know what I mean? But again, you know, I'm going to tell you right now, with going and living off grid and doing your own solar system and all that, there's maintenance, number one, right? Um, it's an expensive proposition. It's not cheap. So going back to what I was telling you, just batteries alone down here, I paid $6,000 for my batteries. The inverter charge controller, which is now an all-in-one unit, I think that was about $1,000. So now you're looking at 7,000. Solar panels, probably about 2,000, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but because I have 6 360 watt solar panels, and I don't know what they go for right now. But probably right in that range of about $2,000. So there's 8, and then you're looking at all the wiring. So let's call it. Let's just high end figure. I got about $9,000 into my solar system down here. So really quickly, in a short period of time, you can recoup that cost. So it's just like I said, what I would like to do here, if with moving forward with my solar system, I would add more solar panels to start with. Okay. Because now I'll get to, like today, because the sun was out and stuff like that, batteries get topped off and it dumps power. So do I want to increase my batteries as well? I do. But again, that's something that's going to be longer term, because I need to be able to have enough power coming in the wintertime. So that's why I would add more panels now. Like I can double what I have right now. So I have, like I said, I have, what do you figure, 369, 10, 1080 times 2. So I got 2,160 watts of power right now. That's my array. I can go up to a 4,200 or 4,400 watt system, and my inverter charge controller can handle that. So that's the first thing that I would do. I would increase it that way. And the biggest thing, let me give you some great advice that I did not know starting out. Stick with the same size solar panels. So I have 360 watt panels. If I add to that system, I'm going to get 360 watt panels. So I won't do a wind turbine, and I'll tell you why, Alex. Way too many moving parts. I've seen way too many people that have wind turbines, and what they end up happening is there's a wind turbine up there broken and not working. Okay, uh, way cheaper, realistically, to add more solar panels. Solar panels are going, you're going to have more than a 30-year shelf life, and even after 30 years, you're still going to have power coming in from those solar panels. A wind turbine, ask anybody that has a wind farm or a wind turbine, and the amount of maintenance that they have to do with that, in the breaking down of parts and keeping things lubricated and all that type of stuff. It's more trouble than it's worth. And that's, I'm giving you my opinion. I'm giving you my opinion. We had the massive wind farms up in New York, down in Cohocton in that area. And a lot of times you drive down there and some of those turbines would be down. And if the wind is too high, they shut them down too, because it will affect and it will hurt the turbines. So, it's just, yeah, and the maintenance is ridiculous on them. I don't have maintenance on these other than making sure that when it's wintertime that I keep the panels clean. That's it. That's my maintenance, on these panels. So again, want and need. What do I want to have? What do I need to have? And if you can live with sacrificing short term for a long term goal, and as you continue to learn and figure out what you need and what you want with your solar systems, it works out. And not to mention the risk of injury and maintenance on turbines. Yeah, because if you got to go turbines and you got to go 30 foot up or 40 foot up, or like here, you see how high my trees are down here. I would have to be above the tree line. So now what we're looking at to have a viable wind turbine, I'm looking at least 100-foot turbine, 100 foot with the guy wires and all that, and at least 100 foot high in the air. And if something goes wrong, now I got to climb up there, okay? And I'm not afraid of heights, but that's not something I'm real super comfortable doing, as far as that goes. So, and again, cost effectiveness for me, add more solar panels, add more batteries, and I'm going to be good to go. Like I said, if I add, let's say in the next 10 years, let's just use that as a figure, I double my solar panels that I have now and go to having 4,400 watts of solar, right? And then I add to my batteries. Once the batteries are up, okay, I up my batteries. I can, as much sunshine as I can get, fill them up, and they'll last for days and days when there is no sunshine, because it's not always going to be sunshine. So I mean, we got what, 268 in the chat, guys. We got 106 thumbs up. Let's set a goal for fun of 200 thumbs up. So that means, well, now we're at 93 away. So if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to please do so to show support for the channel. And I do appreciate that ahead of time. It makes a huge difference with the algorithms. And so I do appreciate it for that reason as well. Also, again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you to please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. And I thank you ahead of time for that. So we're up to 120, so 80 more. And I promise you, we get to 200 thumbs up, guys, and I'll shut up and won't ask for any more. And I think this is only like the second time or maybe the first time I'm asking so far today. So, oh, the hydro. I like hydro, Alex. But again, what I have to look at down here, my creeks don't flow full time all year long. Okay. So when we get into the really dry season here, like when I bought my property, I'll give you an example. When I bought my property, and I think it closed in August, I believe, on the property here. And it was me and Heather, and I said, let's walk the property. Let's walk around. So we went down to the creeks, and the creeks were bone dry. I mean, there was a little bit of water here and there, but you could tell that that's where the creek was, okay, on both sides, because it goes all the way around like a big circle around the property. Um, you could tell where the creeks were, but there wasn't the water flowing because it was the dry season. Now, you guys, I've shown you when, we have the rains or we have the runoff from the snow melt, the creeks are jamming. I mean, jamming, but that's not all the time. So hydro would be great if it was more consistent. And again, but you got to remember too, again, it is going to be moving parts that have to be maintained. And then it's a matter of the creek is 400 foot down off of the meadow. Okay. I would have to transfer that power, that 400 feet up here somewhere. And so you're going to lose power the longer you run. That's why you see where the solar panels are here. Okay. And then the battery room is 15, 20 feet behind the solar panels. All right. That's why, because it's a short run to get from the panels into the batteries to charge the batteries. You don't want to have a big long run that you're running to because you're going to lose power the longer your run is. So there's a lot of things to look at when it comes to what do I want to do? How do I want to do it? Is it cost effective? What's the maintenance? And again, your cost, you got to, how soon in the long run are you going to recoup that cost? You can't say year to year, right? You can't say year to year how much things are going to cost. You don't know what the normal person is paying. Normal, right? The normal person's paying for their gas and electric bill year to year. But I do know from observation, they don't generally go down. All right. Every year they cost more. So the people that used to come on to the channel, like especially when I was in New York, and they're like, "Oh, well, my gas and electric bill's only $40 a month, so it's not a big deal, and I don't care." Well, that's great until you don't have any power. You know, I don't go through power outages unless there's a breakdown in the system, and then I got to troubleshoot and figure it out. So but I do know this: the gas and electric bills don't generally go down. That I know. So thoughts on Trump's new proposed bill that all lawsuits cost both sides to be borne by the losing party. I hadn't seen that. It would stop a lot of frivolous lawsuits, I think, to be honest with you. If that's something I hadn't seen that, but if that's the case, it would stop a lot of people from just suing for the sake of suing, you know. But yeah, that's well. And the thing is, here, guys, I'll tell you, with everybody that's here, a lot of people have the like the solar generators and stuff like that for small scale needs. That's perfect. But if you're here full time now, right? What are you doing, right? How are you going to get all the things that you want? There's not going to be any more get what you want. So whatever you want to have here that you want to have set up, they got to get it set up. We're not going off everybody running lines all over the place. It's not realistic, number one, and it would be too heavy of a drain on the system. So but now if somebody had like I'll show you. I'll show you. All right. So here's my Opus. Okay. So you can see right now it's charged up to 100% because I just turned it on. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. All right. If people had these and they needed to plug them in, right, and said, "Hey, Ed, can I charge up my Opus so that I can have lights and recharge whatever?" That's fine. I wouldn't have a problem with that at all because that's for everybody to use. But I can't run lines all over the place. Like now, Dave, he's got his own system set up down there. He's got his own solar panels, so he can charge his own system up and have and he's got a bigger thing that, you know, I can't remember exactly what he paid for his system, but again, you know, over time, people are getting their stuff squared away. And, you know, like Sandy, like I think I told you guys that Sandy bought um, 4 bats of insulation. She got those in. I will be doing a video on that, and I will show you what she has gotten done down there. You know, Johnson, his last month when he had come, he picked up 2 bats of insulation. He's got one that's still got to get put in, and he has the other one in now. For his walls, for his, because his cabin is smaller, because it's just him. He is going to. He only realistically needs 1 more bat of insulation. So his goal is, because his wood stove is now in, is get 1 more bat of insulation, get those the other one and that one in, and then he wants to cut off on top. And I'll explain that when we're showing, you know, what everybody's doing. But again, it's just his next goal is to get his rain catchment set up, get the rest of his insulation in, and then he could pretty much live there if he needed to. He just has to worry about power after that. And so, you know, again, it's a process, guys. If I will tell you this, and this is what I try to explain to some people when they ask me about living off grid and doing that, okay? A lot of people will start to try to live off grid, in more than half within a year are back living on grid somewhere. And the reason is it's not easy. It is not easy. It is a commitment. It's what you got to want. You know, when I made the move and I went to go live off grid, I'll give you a great example of something. I had a really good friend of mine, you know, that was a neighbor down when I lived in Greece, New York. And when I didn't have the skills, I'll be the first to admit it, I didn't have the skills when I moved off grid. Okay. But I had stubbornness, determination. It's what I wanted, and I was going to make it work. He told me years later, probably 5, 6 years after I moved off grid, he goes, "I got to tell you something, man." And I go, "Yeah, what's that?" He goes, when you moved off grid, I was like, "There's no way he's ever going to make it. There's no way he's ever going to make it." He goes, "I got to give it to you." He goes, "Not only did you make it, but you're thriving at it." And I said, "It comes down to not quitting, right? It's easy to go, oh my God, this is too hard. I don't want to do this." I'm going to give you another example. Somebody else that I knew, and I won't mention the name. They bought a cabin, they bought land, right? You know, all excited, going to move off grid, sold their house, got rid of everything, moved off grid. This individual called me 2 weeks later, 2 weeks, folks, 2 weeks. And he says to me, "I don't want to do this." And I went, and I was like, "What?" He goes, "I don't want to do this." And I'm like, and it just, that pissed me off. I'll be honest with you, because I tried to help this person, and I did a little bit financially with getting a wood stove and stuff like that. And then for them to quit after 2 weeks, it's a slap in the face, number one. And number two, it is, you know, you're not going to have any kind of grit and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and you're going to quit after 2 weeks. Insanity to me. Absolute insanity to me. So it ain't for everybody, I will tell you that right now. But if it's something that you want to do and you're determined to do it, you can do it. But again, it always is always going to come down to, folks, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. I'll tell you that right now. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Why do you think they make it convenient? Why do you think they make the laws the way that they do in these townships, and that type of stuff? So it doesn't make it easy to do it, right? They make it hard, because as long as you stay on grid, somebody controls you. Now, we all are under control to some degree, no matter what. All right. And that's a fact. But if you put that effort in and make a decision of what you want to do, and there's ways around everything, I will tell you that right now, too. Okay. There's ways around everything. You've got to know what you want. So, all right. So, real quick here, we got 277 in the chat. We're at 153 thumbs up. We need 47 more for 200. So if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, I would ask you to please do so, to show support for the channel. I appreciate that. It really makes a big difference with the algorithms. Also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. Ed, would you advise someone thinking of doing that to try some bushcraft camping for a while before diving in? I think that would be a good idea, Dale. That's actually really good advice. Go on. Well, what I would actually too also, Dale, what I would recommend to people if you want to try it, right? I want to go live off grid. I want to try it. What I would recommend over a weekend, turn off all your electronics and kill your power, your main breaker, kill your power, and see how you do over 2 days to start with, and how ready you are, and how ready you may think you are, and in reality how ready you are. That's a good test. That's a good test because you're going to find out really quickly, what do I have, what do I don't have, what do I need, and what do I want. Taking care of the basic needs first is important, but then we all want to be comfortable, right? Full of hope. Ed, that test scared me. It's an eye opener. Full of hope. It's an eye opener for people. If they're not used to it, it is absolutely an eye opener. All right, guys, real quick, we're going to do egg count. So let's go ahead and do that right now. We need 32 more thumbs up, too, by the way. 32 more thumbs up to hit 200. How many eggs today? And yes or no for Miss Betty White. So I'll give you guys a moment to get your guesses in, and we will go from there. And I'll shut up for a minute and take a drink. So give you guys a moment to get your guesses in, and we will go from there. And again, remember, I have 5 hens, guys. I have 5 hens. I'm just going to give you a couple more moments here, and we'll go from there. All right, I got to tell you, I think we're going to have a first here today. We have no right guesses. No right guesses. So we're just going to call it. So we have no winner today because we had 1 egg today, and it was not Miss Betty White. I was really surprised, to be honest with you. So yeah, it was one egg today, and Miss Betty White did not lay today. So really surprised, to be honest. I thought that it would be better today, but yesterday was a cold day. So yes, and now, yeah. Thanks, Siobhan, for putting that in there now after I told you what the answer is. But yeah, so they just one of those days. What are you gonna do? I'm hoping, like I said, this week coming up here is supposed to be much nicer. By Tuesday, I think that we're up to almost 70 by Tuesday. So actually, I'll tell you what I'm looking at here. I'll tell you in a minute. Let's see. So tomorrow I'm looking at 58. Tuesday is going to be 65. Wednesday is going to be 69, 69 on Thursday. So yeah, we got some, much nicer days coming up, which will be nice. But so what do we at? 174. We need 26 more, guys. 26 more thumbs up to hit the goal of 200. So just putting that out there. You want to shut me up about the egg count? Hit it, and as soon as we hit 200, I won't ask again. But yeah, like I said, it's I love living like this. This for me was my dream. So when I moved off grid, I'll be 100% honest with you. Okay, was it harder than I expected? Absolutely, 100% yes. Much harder than I anticipated. Um, but that's how you learn. Did I make a ton of mistakes? Absolutely, 100% yes. Have I made mistakes since I've been down here? Absolutely, 100% yes. The difference between my channel and a lot of other channels, I will show you guys my mistakes because that will help you when you go through that process that you won't make the same mistakes that I do. Okay. And that's why I show my mistakes. When you see these other channels and everything always goes smoothly and swimmingly and it's wonderful and we're sitting around the campfire singing kumbaya, they're full of crap. Okay. I think it's important to show your failures along with your successes because that helps people. And we're only human. Into error is human, right? A Google account just said that. So you're gonna make mistakes, but I think that it's so important to share that because like here's what I do. I make a mistake one time, okay? Because if I repeat that mistake over and over and over again, then I'm an idiot, okay? You fix it right, you go, okay, that didn't work. We got to do something different. Like I will tell you right now, when next winter hits, okay, I'm just going to give you an example of something. When next winter hits, at least one tote will be having a thermal mass around it. It's probably going to be the one here behind the battery room. I will have a thermal mass around that tote so it doesn't freeze if we get into really cold weather. Then that way I'm going to have water. So again, this winter we had a couple of periods where it got really cold, and I couldn't access water. So what I did after the first time it happened, and then it warmed back up, I kept at least 20 gallons of water besides what I had in my Berkey in the house for the rest of this winter because I was not going to get caught with not having enough water. I mean, it's not just water for me, it's water for the dogs, it's water for the chickens. I got to make sure because they're counting on me to take care of them. And if I can't do that, then that's an issue. So those are, yeah, insulated. I could get the insulation, the foam board insulation, and put that around it as well. I mean, there's always options that you can use. It's going to help. So, but thermal masses. I'll tell you what. You do a thermal mass around any of those things, and they're not going to freeze. So it makes it much better. But what's your plan to feed 5 dogs when SHTF happens? I have 9 dogs. Um, when you're taking care of people after SHTF, folks, dogs got to eat. Okay, there's going to be plenty of dead people around that you can feed to the dogs, and that sounds terrible. But and if you have enough food and you're prepared well, they're going to hunt. They're going to go back more to that basic instinct of hunting as well. But we would still be feeding the dogs as well. From whatever what we had to eat, they would be getting fed that way as well. But if we took somebody out, you let the dogs have a nice meal. And that sounds terrible, but why let the meat go to waste? Okay? I don't want to eat nobody, but I don't care if the dogs do. But I have rabbits to breed to feed my dogs. Yeah, I mean, there's always options that you can utilize, in that time frame. Now, do I want my dogs to eat people? I don't. So hopefully, right? Speaking of Ukraine, my friend had dead bodies in the streets. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure when and like I said, when you're dealing with that, what have you decided about a newer, sturdier chicken coop? We definitely are going to do that as well. I basically got a couple of months before those other chickens come back. So like next month, it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be the month that we're going to work on a chicken coop, but maybe the month after that, when everybody comes down. If we're all working on it together, it'll go really quickly. Okay, it'll go. It's called the long pork, Bob. We don't call it smoked humans. It's the long pork. Uh, but anyway, it's as long as I can feed my dogs, I'm going to feed my dogs. I keep a certain amount of dog food available anyway, so that I try to do. So what do we got? 182. I need 18 more, guys. We got like 5 minutes left in the chat. So I need 18 more thumbs up just for fun to see if we can hit that 200 mark. So if you haven't done so yet, please do so. Like I said, if you're prepared properly, you should be okay. The dogs will continue to hunt. They're gonna hunt. You know, if you can't give them the kind of rations that you would like to give them, there's other options for them. I mean, as far as that goes, but you know, it's you know, like I said, it's just planning ahead is all part of it. Don't you worry about dog food getting rancid. I don't keep that much JJ, and I rotate my dog food. So I mean, I'll keep like right now. I'll give you an example. I just finished up one bag for the puppies. I have two other bags right now. So I just opened one of those. So I will go out and I'll get another one. All right. For Hella, I have two bags for her. And I had three. The one I finished up and I'm on the second one now. So I keep about 150 pounds right now for both. And you know, Alex said, Ed, how did you deal with your divorce? You have to deal with. There's nothing you can do. I didn't want to be divorced, but you know, things happen, and you have to you don't have a choice. When you have one partner that don't want to be with the other partner anymore, you got to deal with it. It's as simple as that. That's how life goes, unfortunately. So what? 192. 8 more thumbs up, guys. We're almost there. So one part of prepping would be a hand crank well, no electricity needed. Well, and the thing is, too, Tanya, if you have multiple water sources available to you, if you have someplace that has a spring, you know, if you have creeks that you can collect water from, rain catchment, again, I think is really, really important. Having multiple sources to be able to collect because water's not always going to be a plenty. You know, it's not going to be a plenty. So having them, you know, making sure that you have those different things in place. And that was, again, that's a lesson that we learned here. Once I was living here full time and realizing, holy crap, we have a 3 month period of time every year, June, July, August. We don't get a whole lot of rain in those 3 months. So, you know, if I'm working and having gardens, you know, making sure I have enough water for like my needs and for Steve's needs and those type of thing. And again, what happens when SHTF happens? And now let's say instead of two people living down here full time, we have 50, right? That's a lot of water needs. And so that's why last year getting all these tanks was a priority for us in getting, again, it's learning those lessons, learning what we need, wants and needs, and figuring things out. And that's what we're doing all the time. West Virginia is not New York. What you're doing in New York is going to be different than what you're going to do in West Virginia. What somebody's going to do in Georgia is going to be different than what somebody's going to do here in West Virginia. So, depending on where you are, you gotta. We're still going to be working on the bunker, Mark or Mike. Mike Jones was asking what happened to the bunker. Bunker is still a priority. We have things that we got to do with that as well, and we are going to get the biggest thing we got to do first and foremost with the bunker is the drainage. So we got to do drilling out a borehole for drainage of the water. I want it to be just a regular thing that if water gets in there, it drains out automatically. I don't want to rely on a pump or a sump pump or anything like that. I want that water to be able to get out of there on its own. So that's the biggest thing with that. So also, like I said, it's just that's all. It's all a process. It's all a process. And again, it's a learning thing. And once we get the drainage in, then we're going to put a concrete pad in the bottom. And then once the concrete pad sets up, then we're going to start blocking up the bunker shaft. All right. Once we got that squared away, then we're going to go back to really working inside the generator or inside the bunker. And there's a lot to do. And I know that's not going to be an easy thing and it's not going to be an overnight thing. But as long as we are making progress and we can start getting things underground, we're going to be in better shape. So, we got a good pump as far as that goes, and I can just plug into the regular system from that to be able to pump water out of there for now. But I want to have it so it's much easier. So we're at 199. I need one more thumbs up, guy. Folks, please, if just because want to hit that 200 thumbs up before we jump off of here. Again, basically, everything is a learning process. There we go. We hit 200. That's awesome. Thank you. Everything is a learning process. And, that's what you got to realize when you're doing this lifestyle change. I want you guys to think about this. For all of those of you that have never thought about living off grid or doing that type of thing, when SHTF happens, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, okay? When SHTF happens, you're all going to be living off grid, if you want to or not. So why not have something as a backup so that you can have some kind of power for yourselves? It don't have to be an elaborate system, just something small that you could charge up your laptop, charge up your phone, be able to have some lights, okay, in those type of things. That's, it may not seem like a big deal, but it's a big deal. And again, the more things, the more multiples that you have to be able to have things like with the Opus. Love having the Opus. It's a great thing. It's a nice backup to have. And, other people have that similar type of thing. Some of them have bigger ones, but it's awesome and it works out great. So, and again, learn it now when it's not life and death. That's a key. That's a key, I will tell you right now. Figuring out what works, figuring out what doesn't work. You don't want to be in a position when SHTF happens that now, if this don't work, we're screwed. Okay? You don't want to be in that position. So again, it's a choice. Um, we lived off grid, including no water for months during Helena disaster. Well, exactly, exactly. So now you were probably relying on the graciousness of the government to come in and help. I don't want to rely on them. That's where I stand with that. I don't want to rely on them. So if I got myself squared away and ready to go, then I don't have to. Hello, bear. Do you want to go outside? I know I got to end the stream. Okay, give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Down, down, down. Give me a minute, I said. Good girl. All right, guys, my dog wants to go out, and it's after an hour. So keep prepping. Take care of your business. Lots of cool stuff going to be coming up this year. I hope you guys enjoy it. We have a lot of plans, and hopefully we'll get a lot of those things done and accomplished this year. Might not get everything done that we want to get done, but we will put a good dent in it. I guarantee you that. So it's not going to be from lack of trying. All right. Be safe. Keep prepping. And remember, here's important, okay? STD, step, thing, and day. One step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. Whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you can do it. The only one stopping you from reaching your goals is going to be you. Set realistic expectations and then reach that goal, check it off, and then you move on to the next thing. And that's what it comes down to. All right. Be safe. I will see you all tomorrow, live streaming for hardcore members at 8 o'clock. For everybody else, I will see you all on Wednesday. Please be safe and have a great night. Prepper Nurse One, out for now.